Good evening, everyone. My name is Roxanne Etmekcian, and I'm the president of the Cambridge-Yerevan Sister City Association. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the Cambridge Public Library for CYSCA's 38th annual membership meeting and program. We'll be starting our evening with our guest speaker, to be followed by a short business meeting to which we invite members and those interested in the mission of the organization to attend. After the business meeting, there will be a reception with refreshments at the back of the room. Now, allow me to introduce our guest speaker, Ani Babaian. Ani is the Library Curator at the National Association for Armenian Studies and Research in Belmont. She is also an art researcher and conservator, as well as an artist in her own right. To honor Ani's wish to keep my introduction brief on her professional details, I invite you to read more about her background on the page that was left on your chair this evening. Now, please welcome Ani Babaian.
Okay. I am grateful to each of you for being here this evening. Before moving to the United States, I learned about the Cambridge-Yerevan Sister City Association from friends in Armenia. They shared how CYSCA changed their lives, making them more patriotic through support from members and host families. It is an honor to speak to CYSCA, an organization that truly makes a difference. Thanks to the board, especially Roxanne, for helping with today's topic. And thanks to everyone here for your support. The topic is Identity Through Colors, exploring Armenian painting. I will be discussing how Armenian paintings express Armenian identity using colors. The images that you will see will reflect this. Painting is one of the most significant forms of fine art. It's all about making something that looks great and makes you feel something. People create paintings to express themselves creatively, to share ideas, and to make you think. When we talk about paintings, we are not just talking about something pretty hanging on the wall. They are deeper than that. They are about beauty and meaning, creative expression, and intellectual purposes, which sets them apart from other kinds of art like decorative or applied art. They are just for adornment or practical use. When discussing Armenian painting, numerous questions come to mind. First, what defines Armenian painting? Is any artwork painted within Armenia considered Armenian? Or is it where the artist was from? Does the subject matter, such as depictions of churches, pomegranates, or Mount Ararat, play a defining role? Or is it the color palette that holds significance? Moreover, how does art history categorize paintings by nationality, like Italian, Russian, or American art? Further complicating matters is the definition of Armenian itself. Does it strictly refer to the geographical boundaries of the Republic of Armenia without delving into contemporary border issues? Or is it about the artist's DNA? Additionally, does Armenian painting adhere to specific theme, symbols, or rules? Addressing these questions, we can discuss for hours. Over the decades, this topic has been thoroughly explored by researchers and scholars. While I won't delve deeply into these topics, it's widely thought that artists are profoundly shaped by the cultures and societies in which they are immersed. Their upbringing and their education, their cultural values, ideas, and norms influence their creative output. Thus, even a passing story heard from an Armenian grandmother during childhood can leave a lasting imprint on an artist's work, even if they actively identify as Armenian throughout their entire lives. When you visit museums or page through art books, you can easily notice that each artwork comes with an identification portfolio detailing the artist's birthplace, where the artist practiced, where the painting was created, and other relevant details. But here, place doesn't just mean where on a map. It shows the cultural background of the artwork, giving us clues about what inspired the artist and the world they lived in. Cultural background, with its broad importance, includes elements such as race, religion, political affiliations, and more. Thus, understanding the context behind art isn't just about appreciating its beauty. It's about delving into the rich layers of human experience and expression embedded within. Today, Armenian art is often categorized into two distinct branches: Armenian art of Armenia and Armenian art of the diaspora. However, I support a cohesive strategy that brings together all Armenian art under one comprehensive framework, while acknowledging where the artist is practicing. Personally, I prefer the term Yegiptahai, or Armenian in Egypt, Fransahai, or Armenian in France, Iranahai, or Armenian in Iran, over Spurkahai, as it emphasizes the country or region of practice, enriching the Armenian artistic palette. The term diasporan is complex. I believe it can be surpassed by embracing a more inclusive perspective. Creating images on a rock surface, which are called petroglyphs, dates back to ancient times. Its long history is much like Armenian art. They are the most ancient works of art left by humankind and serve as foundational pillars in the history of art. More than 2,000 images are found on Mount Ughtasar, near the town of Sisyan in Armenia's southern province of Syunik. The carvings on the rock depict hunting scenes, animals, circles, and geometric shapes. They attest to the enduring legacy of artistic expression within Armenian culture. Armenian painting features a vibrant color palette that has been rich since ancient times. During the Middle Ages, Armenia was a major exporter of various dyes and paints. Interestingly, many of these paints and colors were known by the name Armenas or Armenian. For example, take Armenius bol, a pigment used as the base of creating gold hues. It's worth noting that while some of these materials retain their Armenian identity over time, in certain instances their names were changed. This reflects the evolving landscapes of cultural influences and changes in language. Language is like a code for colors, where words such as red can represent a whole range of shades. Take Armenian red, also called vortankarmir, for instance. It's a special paint made from insects, and its recipe was kept secret for generations. Unfortunately, this secrecy led to the recipe being lost over time. To make things worse, the insects used to make this paint are now critically endangered in Armenia. They mostly live in a protected area called the Vortankarmir State Reservation. Another example is Armenian blue, which is represented by a mineral called azuret. These two colors were the most expensive paints during the medieval period, often valued as highly as gold. Painting, as a distinct form of artistry in Armenia, has its origin in the ancient Urartuan period. The best example is Erebuni. During this time, artists decorated walls and spaces with murals or wall paintings, which is one of the oldest forms of painting. Here you can see a part of mural that is preserved. The remaining parts of the murals show that they used blue, black, ochre, and red. Blue was used as a base color and giving a peaceful atmosphere to the building. Here is the reconstruction of the fragment of the painting in the 1960s. With limited colors, creating a vivid color composition. Later we can see in the manuscripts. These murals employed various techniques such as fresco and mosaic, each adding unique dimensions to Armenian art. For instance, the mosaic floor of the Garni bathhouse, dating back to the 3rd century, is the best example of the artistic tradition. These ancient artworks not only highlight the artistic achievements of the past, but also underscore the enduring significance of painting in Armenian cultural heritage. The 15-color natural stone mosaic floor of the bathhouse is still preserved. The mosaic illustrates various sea images, mermaids, fish centers, and other creatures. Mural painting found in places like palaces, churches, and homes flourished during times of peace. These artworks have lasted through the ages, not just in Armenia, but also in Armenian communities elsewhere. Their existence shows how important they are to Armenian culture, spreading their beauty far beyond their original homes. I am sure all of you are aware about Dadivank, the Armenian Apostolic Monastery in Artsakh. It is said to have been founded by Surp Dadi, a disciple of Thaddeus the Apostle who spread Christianity in eastern Armenia during the 1st century. Since the 44-day war, the monastery is now in the Kalbajar district of Azerbaijan, and it is falsely called a Caucasian Albanian temple. The mural painting here is with limited colors, red, yellow, and white. The inscriptions are in Armenian. This is from the 13th century. Following the adoption of Christianity in 301, Armenian painting underwent a profound transformation, both in its ideological content and artistic form. Miniature paintings, also known as illuminated manuscripts, emerged as the most common medium in medieval Armenian art. These detailed artworks didn't just tell stories about religion, they also taught people about spirituality and culture. Through vibrant colors, craftsmanship, and rich symbolism, miniature paintings became the most Armenian artistic expression during this era. They not only illuminated sacred texts, but also illuminated the minds and hearts of those who beheld them, embodying the spiritual essence of Armenian Christianity. In this slide, you are looking at two incredible artworks from the Metropolitan Museum, both made in the 15th century. Your task is to figure out which one might belong to Armenian art. Pay attention to things like colors, lines, textures, and shapes. They all show cultural influences. Even if we don't know who made them or where they were made, these visual clues can tell us a lot about the culture behind them. It's like solving a puzzle that helps us understand the rich history of art and its connections to different cultures. The colors are the same, but the proportion of each color in the composition is different. In the Armenian manuscripts, you can see that the red, different tones of blue, and gold created a balanced and abstract composition that is pleasing to the eyes. While in the French, in addition to red, blue, and gold, also you can see green, white, and brown. the use of color is different. While in the Armenian artwork, the colors are symbolic and abstract, in the French, they are realistic. Notice the branch is green, birds are brown, while in Armenian the tree is painted in blues and red with gold lines. Here I want you to enjoy the vivid colors of Armenian masterpieces, where you can see the ways the colors red, blue, and gold are applied by different artists. Toros Roslin from the 13th century from Cilicia, Sarkis Bizag from the 14th century, and Mesrop of Khizan from the 17th century, active in New Jolfa. Despite using only a few colors, the artist creates a vibrant array showing how each artist's unique style, background, and environment shape their use of color. In Armenian illumination, colors carry deep meanings. Gold symbolizes God's presence, purity, and love. Red embodies divine power, life, and atonement. Yellow signifies divine light and wisdom. Black represents death and mystery. Blue conveys heavenly peace and mystery, often paired with red to express mercy and truth. Green symbolizes life and hope, celebrating nature's renewal. The colors are chosen carefully and with purpose. Let's move to the 17th century. That's when painting started moving from walls and paper to portable media like canvas or wooden panels. This change made it easier for artists to work and show their art. They could try new things and be more creative. This shift opened a whole new world of possibilities in art. It is impossible to mention every painter in the history of Armenian art, of course, but I will highlight some of the pioneers who made a significant impact on art history. Paintings can take on various styles and themes, ranging from naturalistic portraits like still life and landscapes to more abstract or symbolic representations. They can also be emotional, expressive, or even political in nature. Please note the color differences. Sometimes you will notice that the color reflects the artist's careful selection of tones. At other times, it results from the artist's expression of their inner world without any consideration. In Armenian painting history, 5 generations of the Hovnatanian family were active from the 17th to the 19th centuries. Originally from Nakhichevan, the Hovnatanians were also active in Armenia, Georgia, and Iran. Like many artists of their time, most of their works focused on Christianity. Jacob Hovnatanian, the 5th generation of the family and also known as the Raphael of Tiflis, gained fame for his portrait paintings. He skillfully captured the essence of his subjects by focusing on their faces and expressions to convey their likeness, personality, mood, and social status. Hovnatanian's role in Armenian painting history established him as the founder of the portrait genre. The famous painter of seascapes, Hovhannes Ayvazovsky, played an important role in Armenian painting by creating compositions on Armenian themes, also in the formation of the artistic biography of many other Armenian painters. Recently, Ayvazovsky was classified as Ukrainian at the Metropolitan Museum, which, thanks to efforts to raise awareness, they reclassified as Armenian, born in the Russian Empire, now Ukraine. He signed several of the paintings in Armenian. Here you see 3 works by Ayvazovsky, and you notice the rich world of colors. During his almost 60-year career, he created around 6,000 paintings, making him one of the most prolific artists of his time. In the descent of Noah from Ararat, the light tones of blue, yellow, and white create a peaceful and pure scene. In the night web, you can observe how contrasting colors symbolize the struggle between death and life. Meanwhile, in the burning of the Turkish flagship by Canaries, you can feel the intensity of the burning ship, yet the background blues seem peaceful even as the escaping people appear calm. Ayvazovsky was deeply affected by the Hamidian massacres that took place in the Armenian inhabited areas of the Ottoman Empire between 1894 and 1896, and this painting is one of his works created in response to this event. Vartges Surenians, who was also illustrator, translator, art critic, and theater artist, is considered the founder of Armenian historical painting. During the Armenian genocide, Surenians painted many paintings of survivors with their costumes. In 1916 in Tiflis, Surenians, along with other artists such as Martyros Saryan, founded the Armenian Artistic Society. In 1892, Surenians visited Ani and Lake Sevan, where he became familiar with the historic architectural monuments and everyday customs of rural Armenian life. As a result, his style reflected this notion through his depiction of landscapes and historical events, employing a rich color palette and decorative motifs. Martyros Saryan is considered to be the founder of the modern Armenian National School of Painting. His role in the formation of modern Armenian painting is extraordinary. He brought a new vision and color palette. Remember that he was witness to many sad events in Armenia, such as the effects of the Armenian genocide, engaging with survivors, the difficult years of the 1930s, World War II, but at the same time, Saryan's painting remained deeply Armenian, depicting its nature and people, the mountains and the sunny landscape. Saryan's art is known for being colorful, creative, and simple. He believed in the power of simplicity, which is evident in many of his masterpieces. Saryan saw colors as a way to express pure sensation and emotions. Minas Avedisyan was one of the most prominent figures in Armenian painting in the 1960s. He managed to combine contemporary trends of depiction with traditions and national elements of old Armenian painting. In his paintings, Avedisyan employs bright and unmixed colors placed side by side, creating bold shapes that are clearly defined. In The Birth of Taurus Roslin, Minas showed his respect for Roslin and how he was impressed by his works. Yerevan Kochar was a prominent sculptor and modern artist of the 20th century and the founder of the painting in space art movement in the 1930s in Paris. This movement shows all the possibilities of paintings, graphics, and sculptures. The Yerevan Kochar Museum is located in Yerevan, and I am sure most of you know his Sasunsi David and Vartan Zoravor statues in Yerevan. Kochar suggests new ways of thinking visually by adding movement to still shapes and combining painting with three-dimensional geometric forms. The palette is rich, but with light tones to give it a spiritual effect. Seryan Khatmalajian, was a prominent Armenian painter, graphic artist, and public figure. He is considered one of the founding fathers of Armenian abstract art movement. Serian Khatmalajian shows an emotional quality parallel with the art of Arshil Gorky. Lines in his works are vibrant and lyrical. His works show both peaceful harmony and dramatic disturbance and reflect the troubled course of Armenian history. This painting represents one season of the year. What season do you think it is? Spring. Here is the power of an artist to express with color. Hagop Hagopian was born in Egypt and immigrated to the Armenian Soviet Republic in 1962, and his new work became the Armenian landscape. He paints people from every social class. The subjects are isolated and miserable characters, reflecting what his social life was at that time. Hagopian's colors echo his era. At first, you might sense a somber mood in the green-grayish tones, but the presence of light gives hope. Maryam Aslamazian has been referred to as the Armenian Frida Kahlo due to her depiction of traditional Armenian culture, her bright, modernist palette, eclectic personal style, and self-portraits depicting herself in traditional Armenian dress. The gallery of Maryam and Yeranuhi Aslamazian, who are sisters, is in Gyumri, exhibiting their complete collection of the paintings, graphics, and ceramics. The next artist is Arshak Fetvajian, who is best known for his watercolor paintings of the architectural monuments of the medieval Armenian city of Ani and for designing the currency and postage stamps of the First Republic of Armenia. In the early 1900s, Fetvajian joined Russian archaeologist Nicholas Marr on excavations in Ani, a medieval Armenian capital known for the remarkable architecture from the High Middle Ages. Marcos Grigorian, also known as Marco Grigor, was an Iranian-Armenian artist and gallery owner in New York and then in Armenia, and he was a pioneer of Iranian modern art. Marco's parents were from Kars, and they fled massacres when Turkey captured the city in 1920. In Marco's expressionist works, he used skilled drawing techniques and mixed colors with ash, depicting deformed facial features to highlight the tragic experiences of the Armenian genocide. His modernist expressions show originality, purity, and attention to ethnic textures. The next artist is Hovse Pushman, who was an American artist of Armenian background. He was known for his contemplative still lifes and sensitive portraits of women, often in exotic dress. Simon Samsonian's life was marked by tragedy and resilience, starting with his survival of the Armenian genocide as a young child. Born around 1912 or 1913, he lost his parents and relatives during the genocide but was rescued by his sister. He found temporary refuge in various orphanages in Turkey, later in Cairo, Egypt, where he received his education and pursued art. He has a unique style, blending realism with elements of modern art like Cubism. In 1968, Samsonian moved to New York City and continued to create art until his death in 2003. Arshil Gorky was an Armenian-American painter who was one of the pioneers of abstract expressionism. The pain and tragedy of the Armenian genocide deeply shaped Gorky as an artist. Gorky's art, often evoked his birthplace, Van, childhood memories, the Armenian lost homeland. In the last period of his life, he presented unique works such as Agony, Waterfall, How My Mother's Embroidered Apron Unfolds in My Life. The warm colors reflect a motherly warmth in his impressive work. Selecting artists to introduce to you was a challenging task for me, as the amount of artistic talent is vast and diverse. It is impossible to encompass all the remarkable creators in a brief presentation. I want to emphasize the richness and depth of the color palette within the art world. Color plays the same role in a painting as a word or sentence does in literature. It is essential to acknowledge that during the Soviet era, many painters navigated the complexities of political and propaganda environments. Despite the pressures they faced, artists like Minas and others remained steadfast in their commitment to their art, aligning themselves more with the people than with governmental or political agendas. Their resilience in the face of adversity not only shaped their artistic expressions but also cemented their status as pillars of Armenian art. In conclusion, our journey this evening has taken us through the rich framework of Armenian art, from ancient cave paintings to the vibrant expressions of the 20th century. However, as we step out into the world today, we find ourselves in a digital age where social media grants us instant access to global happenings every minute. This technological shift has influenced the discourse surrounding contemporary art, making it challenging to define or discuss artistic trends among the constant influx of digital content. Yet perhaps this fluidity in artistic expression reflects a timeless truth. Throughout history and across cultures, true art endures, transcending fleeting trends and technological advancement. Considering recent events, particularly the 44-day war, our concerns for our homeland weigh heavy on our hearts. Yet as survivors, we are called to channel our strength and creativity towards building a brighter future. I want to close with Sarian's statement. Light and color are two important factors for any fine art painting. To be a true artist, it is necessary first to be an honest citizen of one's homeland, to be the bearer of the leading ideas of one's time. One must express the ideals of the social forces that push humanity forward, elevate its best traits, and give people the strength to fight against the backwardness. Whoever loses the characteristics of his people, the taste of the land, his sacred language, he loses his content. He becomes an incomplete person. After years of study, I became convinced that an artist should be a progressive member of society with high moral qualities. Cheap glory should be unknown to him. He should be devoted to the great ideal of serving the people and become his nation's heart and soul.